Well, the unfortunate happened. The Philadelphia Eagles has clinched the NFC East on the Washington Commanders' home turf, and the Washington Commanders fall to 4-11 on the season. Misery season for the Commanders continue. Let's talk about it.
Shout out to Juan Gotti talking sports. You know what it is.
Shout out Wall Gotti talking sports.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jaden Daniels' career, and he's already milking injuries? Like,
Stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard.
What's up, y'all? It's your man Juan Gotti here. Welcome to another post-game show. Washington lose 29-10 to the Philadelphia Eagles in a very, very winnable game. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out the way now. The Eagles suck. And I know it's gonna come off as me hating, me being a Commanders fan. And if they come in here and troll or on the playback they troll in the comment section, cool. I really don't care. Y'all deserve it. Y'all won a division. But if you could really honestly sit up here and tell me this game, the Eagles scare you in any kind of way, present themselves as a team to be taken serious in the playoffs. They're going to get to the playoffs. Clearly, again, they won the NFC East on our home turf. That's the biggest thing that I wanted to prevent. I knew they were going to win the division. Whether they won tonight, whether Dallas lost tomorrow to the Chargers, they were going to get in and win the division, clearly. My biggest thing tonight was don't let them do it here. If they do it tomorrow via Dallas loss, or they do it when we play them again at their place, okay, cool. And if you want me to be completely honest with you, this game started out exactly how we wanted. I mean, literally the first play of the game, Mike Sainristil forces a turnover on the kickoff. Started excellent for the Washington Commanders. Then we get the ball, and of course, what do we do with it? We don't do much. End up settling for 3. And right then and there, I was like, I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, because I felt like we should have been going for everything. We're 4-10. We have nothing to lose. I don't really care about taking a 3-point lead against Philly at this point. You're not going to win the game like that, so you might as well just go for everything. We end up settling for 3. And defensively, I felt like this team played well enough to win tonight. Honestly, I don't think we broke down defensively until Josh Johnson came into the game. And at that point, I was like, oh, yeah, it's over. Like, once Josh Johnson came in, I said, bro, you know what? Like, we're finished. We're cooked. I mean, he's ass, right? Like, it's nothing that he was going to be able to do for us. And he comes right in, and what does he do? Throw a egregious interception to was it Cooper DeJean, or I don't know who exactly picked it off, can't remember, but it was an egregious pick. You know, you did not have to make that throw, and he did. So again, this game was very winnable for the Washington Commanders. I felt like the Washington Commanders came out with the right mentality, getting a turnover, deferring to get the ball in the second half. I felt like we came out running the ball really well. C-Rod continuing to have a stellar season. Even Bill has some nice curries as well. Obviously, Terry McLaurin making a nice grab, a beautiful D ball from Mariota to Terry McLaurin down the sideline. Like, everything was well for this team, in my opinion. I genuinely felt like this was a winnable game, but I think it's indicative of who the Eagles really are opposed to us. Because again, we're at a point of our season's done. Our starting quarterback is done for the year. We don't have our starting left tackle out there. Defensively, we're depleted. Offensively, we have some more injuries today. Brandon Coleman got shaken up. So we knew Philly was going to win, or had a really good chance to win. But like, after watching that performance, like, they're so bad. They Jalen Hurts, mid as usual, had a nice pass to Dallas Goedert for the touchdown, but it was really a mismatch with him and Quan Martin, I believe. Dallas got a 6'5", Quan Martin 6 foot, so clearly. But a good ball nevertheless from Jalen Hurts. But other than that, I mean, having all day to throw in the pocket, missing AJ Brown on the sideline, threw the ball too high. AJ Brown dropping it. Devonta Smith had a drop early on as well. But it was Will Hurst doing a good job fighting through contact. And if we're being completely honest, them flags were putrid today. I mean, were they not for both sides? If we're being completely honest, like especially for us though, I really was struggling to see, first of all, where did Tyler Owens jump off sides? Now, ultimately, Jake Elliott ended up missing the field goal again because he's apparently just lost it this year or whatever, or at least in this game was 0 for 3. But we stopped him. Tyler Owens ends up getting a offsides penalty, and on the replay, I'm like, he didn't even move. Like he moved at the snap of the ball. At least that's what it looked like to me. But then they end up having to settle for another 3, and Jake Elliott still missed it. So you can kind of wipe that one away, I guess. The other one that I struggle with is the interception that Quan Martin caught on the sideline. They called Noah Igbenogany for pass interference. Greg Olson's like, I don't see a lot there. We see that all the time where on scramble drills, cornerbacks are chasing the receiver, had their back to the quarterback. Like I'm like, where's the penalty flag there? You know, I really struggled with that. And I think Brandon Coleman also had a holding penalty. And I'm like, I'm really struggling. Like, of course, I'm gonna be real with you. Had it been egregious penalties or had it been clear, obvious penalties, I'm like, okay, you know what? Cool. But that Brandon Coleman penalty, if I can remember correctly, that halted a third down conversion. Treylon Burks had a nice catch, had multiple nice catches today, and even drew a pass interference call today. But these penalties kind of halted us, and I'm like, I was really struggling to figure out where were they coming from? These refs weren't good, both sides. So that's that. Another observation that I have is it fair to say teams aren't fearing the tush push anymore? Because multiple times in this game, Washington didn't fear the tush push. At the one, stopped them. Then the very next play on both times they did it, it was a false start. That's what we're talking about as an NFL community. We're not opposed to the play. We're not telling you to ban the play. Philly came up with a genius play a few years ago, and they've been taking advantage of it ever since. All we're telling you is to officiate it the right way. And they did it tonight in that sense, because every single time you've seen the little nudge that they tried to get, and they called them for false start, which ultimately forced Philly to be backed up 5 yards. I feel like Dan Quinn came out with the right mindset, partially. Although I wish he would have went for it on that first drive after getting the turnover on the kick return, because I mean, again, like I said, we had nothing to lose, so I felt like DQ, just go for it. But I felt like he came out with the right mindset, aggressive. That challenge that he had, I was all for it. Again, there's no reason to take your timeouts into the halftime with you. You don't get them back. So I was all for him challenging the spot on the field after the assisted challenge was, and obviously we didn't get it. You know what I mean? But I liked the aggressiveness there. I felt like defensively we looked like we were playing more free. My thing is, why does it take for us to be out of playoff contention late in the season where it doesn't matter to finally see that, oh my God, Jordan McGee is the speed we've been asking for. We've been crying about not having speed all season long at the linebacker position, but Jordan McGee comes in there and he immediately tracks down Devonta Smith for a loss on the end around. He sniffed it out perfectly, and we're and us fans, we're sitting here all season long, all summer long, all spring long, like Jordan McGee is supposed to be taking this next leap. And you finally saw it again tonight. But it's like, at what point are we going to just have him out there? Clearly, Bobby Wagner's at his best when he's going to get the quarterback or he's being a menace in the backfield. But why do we do this sparingly? Why can't we get creative? Why can't we know that we have situational linebackers? If we want Bobby Wagner to come in on plays in which it's uh um a play where you want to blitz, because he blew up a blitz tonight and he got home. Put Bobby Wagner in there. If it's an obvious passing situation, take him off the field. Like that's why when people say, "Man, we don't need Bobby Wagner, we don't need Von Miller," it's not necessarily that we don't need them or we're done with them. If they don't come back, cool. But like, it's not necessarily that we don't need them. We just don't have the personnel or coaching brain, like I would say, that just knows how to utilize their packagings, their players, and their personnel. Just because you have Bobby Wagner does not mean he has to be out there every single snap. Just because you have Von Miller does not mean he has to be there every single snap. So I'm all for everyone wiping their hands clean with Bobby Wagner. I get it if you're over him, but it's like clearly he's still able to be utilized. We just have to utilize him to the strengths that he has at his age now, and that's just being a menace in the run game, blitzing. Other than that, put Joey McGee in there. You know who else who I liked tonight and who continues to impress me all season long? Jacob Martin. Jacob Martin got home today. He drew a penalty flag on is it Johnson, Frank, the guy that was filling in for Lane Johnson. Can't remember his name exactly. Is it Frank or something like that? He drew a holding penalty on him. Jacob Martin's been really, really good. And for me to talk about a pass rush position that is lackluster headed into this next year, he's definitely earned himself a stay. I think we may have learned our lesson with, hopefully at least, with not re-signing our 1-year studs like Dante Fowler. Remember after his 10-sack season last year, we were crying that we should have brought him back. Well, maybe we don't make that same mistake this time around with Jacob Martin. And I don't think Jacob Martin will command nearly as much money as one that Dante Fowler. I liked what I saw from him tonight. He looked good. Hey, Drake Jackson made a tackle. Now, he didn't do much. I'm not going to sit up here and jazz him too much, but he made a tackle today. Maybe that's the start of something. He's just getting his feet wet. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just running the game back in my head. Treylon Burks. Is it fair to say maybe he has the best hands on the team? Pure hands. Because every single time I see him make a catch, right? Like it's rarely body. Right? I mean, he has some out there where he's climbing the ladder on his Terry McLaurin-ish, jumping over a cornerback and just, top shelf stuff. But going back to the phantom or famous, popular one-hand grab that he made almost Odell-like in the end zone versus Denver for a touchdown, that's all hand right there. Not hands, that's all hand. Then you fast forward to tonight. Multiple catches, one low to the ground, pure hands. One that was pure hands got called back for a flag. But I'm like, hold on, Treylon, he might have the best hands on this team in terms of the whole receiving core. Again, obviously, Terry McLaurin is the best pure receiver we have, so I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about hands base. He may be it. That's one guy that I'm interested in this next season. Because if we're being completely honest, we may be in a situation, and Debo had a nice game as well today too. Had a nice screen early on in the game. Had a nice grab that Josh Johnson threw in the middle of the field to him in double coverage, and he found a way to get the pass and yak. But looking at this receiving free agency, we may have to bring back Debo by default. Because if you look at this Washington Commanders wide receiving core as it stands, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, Treylon Burks. Who am I missing, chat? Terry. Well, let's just go with the guys that we know who's going to be here next year, because I don't think Noah Brown's going to be back next year. Clearly, I not going to say I don't think Debo Samuel's going to be back, but technically he is on a 1-year rental, so we're not going to include him in this exercise because we don't know if he's going to be back. So let's go with Terry, Luke, Jalen Lane, Traylon Burks. As technically, I don't think technically he hasn't got a contract extension, but I just assume he's gonna be back. So that's four right there. Who am I missing? If I'm not missing anybody, then Debo has to come back. I mean, Chris Moore, he's ass. He's not coming back. So, well, I say that, and they love Chris Moore, and they'll probably find a way to sneak him onto the practice squad. But I say that to say we have no receivers. We're being completely honest. That's why it's borderline important to bring back Debo Samuel, because for all the talk about Washington having these weapons and all this and all that and needing more weapons, I should say, we could be right back at square one with Terry McLaurin being our only weapon. So you got to get Debo. I know a lot of people talk highly of the Ohio State receiver, Cornell Tate. If you're in a position to draft him, that would be great. I know a lot of people talk about the ASU receiver as well. So we got a lot of decisions that needs to be made. But Debo, he played well today. He played well. I don't know if they bring him back though. That's to remain to be seen. What else stood out to me today? Mike Sainristil, clearly, and I know he gave up the touchdown to Devonta Smith, but clearly, and I said this last year, he is clearly an outside corner. People like to force him back inside because of his size or lack thereof. People want to. He's a slot corner. He's not a slot corner. He plays so much more better on the boundary, being more physical. Look like he plays more free. He's tend to be in right spots more often than not. He's a better outside corner. So I hope next year, and I'm not telling you that we don't need to go out and get another corner, because we do. I have confidence that Trey Amos can come back and be what he was beginning to be prior to his injury in his rookie year. I think he's your future cornerback one. I'm not opposed to Mikey being the cornerback two of this team, but I also am not opposed to this team going out and addressing that. I just don't want them to put him back in the slot, because again, we need a true slot corner. Maybe we can find one in free agency that hits the market. I prefer that, honestly, a guy that's a veteran slot corner that can maybe hold it down for a couple years. He's slipping my mind right now. 31, Jones, cornerback. He's cool. People talk highly of him and they want to see him back next year. I wouldn't be opposed to Jonathan Jones coming back next year, if they do seem fit. But again, I really don't see much when it comes to like having to bang the table for him to come back. But he was cool. But yeah. Again, this game was very winnable. And I think if Marcus Mariota plays in this game or finishes it, I think we win. And I know that's the theme of our season. What if this happens, if that happens, I get it, and at this point it really doesn't matter. But once he went down with the injury, I knew it was over. I knew it was done. I knew we were cooked because Josh Johnson is horrible. I seen it. We all seen it back in the summertime, right? Unc doesn't have no spin on the football. He's in year 18. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Washington Commanders today. Some few bright spots. But other than that, ain't really too much to harp on about. Um, love my team, of course. One thing I will say before I get to the comment section, that onside kick was crazy because we don't know how that play would have ended had we had to go full speed, had they not had they not stopped it or blown it dead. But what you mean? Yeah, wait to the you gotta wait to the ref get off the field. Man, if he doesn't get his old ass off the way, why is he taking forever to get off the field? That would be my thing. Um, but that's all I gotta say. Let's get to the comment section. We'll get out of here. Go watch the Bears and Packers game. I don't really have much to say. Uh, let's see. HTTR Pros, what's up? What's up, bro? How you doing? Daniel Burry, what's going on? DB. I got a new theme song for Josh Johnson. Doesn't matter. Cliff Kingsbury's getting his yellow slip tonight. You think so? If Cliff Kingsbury get fired, that definitely would be surprising to me. I'm not telling you he's been perfect. I'm not telling you that if he goes, I'll be crying like we just lost everything. It would just be surprising to me because again, this was the same guy that majority of fans were, you know, hyped up about, not afraid to lose because he was going to be a head coach last year. And it's like just as much as we're giving the team, the players on the field, actual grace for this year because of all the injuries, none bigger than Cliff Kingsbury because his side of the ball was the one that got dominated the most by injuries. Both sides got hammered by injuries, but his side was more impactful because it were the players that got hurt. Now defensively, we got more injuries defensively, numbers wise, but offensively, it's the impact players that we lost. It's Jay and Daniels, it's Terry McLaurin for a number of games. It's Debo Samuel for a game and that time period. It's Noah Brown for an extensive time period. He comes back and gets hurt. Laremy Tunsil goes down. Brandon Coleman goes down. Sam Cosmi didn't come back till week 6 or week 7, one of those. So it's just like again, I'll be surprised if he got fired. To be honest with you, it's all good. At least it wasn't Dallas. Oh, we'll probably lose to Dallas next week or on Christmas Day, I should say. At this point, I'm more of a Philly hater or Philly like I'd rather be I'm I'd rather be Philly more than Dallas at this point of my life. At first, growing up when I was a kid, of course, it's Dallas. Dallas is the rival, and of course they still are. But Philly's the team that I really can't stand no more. The song is "I Hope" by Jay Lewis. I'm gonna go listen to that later. Dan Quinn must go. He's worse than Rivera. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think you can calmly sit up here and say Dan Quinn is worse than Ron Rivera when Ron Rivera didn't even know we can be eliminated from playoff contention. When Ron Rivera did not have one winning season with the Washington Commanders, you can try to say that 2020 season was a win, but we were 7-9 and we made the playoffs by default. The Washington Commanders has an NFC Championship appearance from Dan Quinn. The Washington Commanders have multiple better things in 2 years with Dan Quinn than Ron Rivera has ever done in his 4 years here in Washington. So no, that's blasphemy right there. They took 2 huge catches from Burks. Yeah, they did. They did. He had a nice day today. He really did. How many times do we gotta say Dan Quinn is a terrible head coach? It's like fans can't comprehend that. He's almost nothing. He's almost nothing to do with last year. He he has a lot to do with last year's success. First of all, he's the one that put this team together alongside Adam Peters. So as much credit as you want to give Adam Peters for the draft pick of Jaden Daniels, for the draft pick of Mikey Sammerstill, or whoever you feel like was a good good pickup, Dan Quinn had influence on that. Why do you think a lot of these free agents wanted to come to Washington for Dan Quinn last year? Dante Fowler, former Dallas player, came here because of Dan Quinn. Bobby Wagner openly said it. He came here for Dan Quinn. See, a lot of y'all shit on Dan Quinn for what? I really don't understand it. For a year that no one was prepared for. In a year where former coaches' teams this team would have quit. But you have players like Sam Cosmi, you have players like Javon Kinlaw that has told you time and time again, this team isn't wavering. This team isn't lost. We aren't losing the locker room because this season has been trash. Dan Quinn's message is still getting across. They're still fighting. They're still competing. It's just unfortunate, unlucky of a year. And a lot of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves for giving up on Dan Quinn because he was the same coach that you all were praising last year when he helped lead this team to the NFC Championship. At the end of the day, is he out there playing? No, but at the end of the day, he is the leader of this team on and off the field. I can't get with that, man. Had he had a bad year last year, okay, and then followed it with this year, okay, I understand. If he has a bad year like this again next year, and you can't use the injury excuses you have most of your guys for majority of the year, okay, I'm willing to hear you out. But after 1 year where a lot went wrong out of his control, I'm not there to say that. What about the missed PI on the first drive? Burks would have had a score. Yeah, that's a good one too. Another Washington womp. Yeah, man. Trade everyone with any value for picks other than Jaden. We need the rest of young players to get the best free agents that come to the market. This team is not elite at any position. Well, we don't have a lot of guys to trade. Commander DeLorean, if we're being honest. I mean, really, the only two guys offensively that you can maybe get some value for would probably be Terry and Laramie Tunsil, because you said don't include Jaden Daniels. So maybe Terry and Laramie Tunsil are like the only two guys in which it's like, okay, offensively you can get something for, but you're not going to do that, right? We're not going to just blow it all up because this year went poorly for a lot of reasons that were out of the control of the players, the coaches, the front office, all right? We do need a lot of young talent, though. I agree with that. So maybe we trade back in the draft and recuperate some draft capital for going back. Free agency this year, I've skimmed at it. I haven't done a deep dive research at it, but I've skimmed through it. It's pretty mid. So I think you might want to move cautiously with that statement. Can't expect to beat anyone when you're giving them yards. They need corners, play too. Oh my God, really? I saw that too, bro. I saw that too. I said the same thing. That AJ Brown catch and run, Jonathan Jones didn't want no parts of that. I'm like, Jonathan Jones, and I don't know. I really don't know when it comes to playing corner, bro. Like, I don't know if a lot of it is scheme or do they have the personal choice to play far off or press up, right? You know what I mean? I would think that it's scheme based, but it's like he didn't want no parts of that. Like, he gave him 10 yards of cushion. Then he didn't even come down to try to make the tackle or break on the football. He waited till he caught the ball, got across the yellow marker, and then tried to do something, you know? So I realized that as well. I'm with you, though. I think this team needs to be more physical at the point of attack, especially defensively. You can't give guys like A.J. Brown hella space, Devonta Smith hella space, Jahan Dotson hella space, and not expect him to do much anything with it. He's one of the worst head coaches in the league. Let's waste another year. So if you fire Dan Quinn right now, who is going to be the head coach? That's what I really don't get with a lot of people that has come to that conclusion. Okay, Dan Quinn isn't it. That's what you think. Who is going to inherit this team and this roster since this roster is not that good to you all? We don't have enough star power. How do you expect the next coach? We don't have that many draft picks. How do you expect the next coach to have any kind of success if it's going to be the same thing that Dan Quinn was dealing with, if not worse? Dan Quinn is not the worst head coach in the league. Why is Josh Johnson on the team? Because of injuries, bro. Because of injuries. Again, Sam, we had a low lose situation back in the summertime. Sam Hartman was ass in the preseason. We clearly didn't want him to be the quarterback 3. Josh Johnson got it by default because he's 18 years in the game. And let's just be smart. I mean, be honest about it. You don't expect to have Josh Johnson having to come into the game December 20th because you expect not just your backup to be ready, but you expect your starter to be playing. You don't expect Mariota to go down with injury December 20th because he shouldn't even be fucking playing. But Josh Johnson's ass. We knew that, though. They got their new stadium, and now they don't care about winning at all, Redskin Nation. I can't. I don't get with that, honestly. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters needs to go. Now, again, I'm not here to tell you they're perfect. right? But I'm at least giving him one more year for me. Before I start to say guys need to go, coaches, Adam Peters needs to go, I'm gonna give him one more year because again, this is 2 years, one good year, one bad year. If you had 2 years at your job and the first year got off to a really good start, you had a good year, your boss says good job, supervisor says good job, you get a nice good report, then the second year, some things go wrong out of your control. You're gonna say, all right, if they fire me, I'm cool with it because I know I messed up this year. Or you're gonna sit there and be like, damn, like I did have a messed up year. A lot was out of my control, but I felt like if they gave me one more chance, I could have turned it back around. That's where I'm at. I'm not telling you Dan Quinn is perfect. I'm not telling you Adam Peters is perfect. But what I'm telling you is they have bought enough equity to at least deserve to be back for one more year before we say clean house. Let's be realistic. Why are you so jealous of Philly? Look at the playoffs and our personnel is everywhere. Every time I watch Cooper DeJean play, I go crazy for the Adam Peters passed over him. Why am I jealous of Philly? I'm not jealous of Philly at all. I just think I'm very honest about Philly. They're not a good football team that is going to win far in the playoffs. They have too many holes. Are they good enough to win the NFC East this year? Yes. But they're not going to beat the better teams in the NFC when they get to the playoffs because of prime examples like tonight. They had 7 points headed into halftime. They missed 3 field goals. They got bailed out multiple times with horrible flags. Jalen Hurts looked flustered in the pocket at times. Jalen Hurts used his legs at times, which was cool. But Jalen Hurts missed an open A.J. Brown multiple times. Devonta Smith dropping passes. This team is not good. Defensively, they are mid. Jordan Davis was balling today. Cooper DeJean, cool. Quinyon Mitchell, he was getting he had his fair share of times where he got worked, but like they're not that good. They're cool. They're okay for this division this year. But if you watch Philly and you sincerely say they are anything like they were last year, last year they were a juggernaut. Last year they were excellent. This year it's they're far from that. And if you can't sit up here, whether you're a Commanders fan, Eagles fan, just admit to that, like they're a far cry from what they were last year. And today was no different. So I'm not jealous of Philly whatsoever. This team has no pass rush. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I made that video the other day. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. I made that video the other day saying the same exact thing. Like this pass rush is horrible. I do think you should bring back Jacob Martin. I would flirt with the idea of bringing back Von Miller because he quietly has about 7-8 sacks this year. But you need a true game changer. You need somebody in the draft. I know a lot of people talk about Texas A&M defense, or they talk about Arville Reese out of Ohio State. Get a premier pass rusher. I don't really care who it is. Somebody that can get the quarterback because we need it badly. I'm right there with you. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters needs to go. Who fires a coach and a GM after exactly? Who fires a coach and a GM after a good season where you haven't been to the NFC Championship since '91? Exactly. And you had one bad year. I'm gonna have some type of consistency. How are you gonna have some type of consistency doing that? And that's my whole thing. The same people that want Dan Quinn and Adam Peters fired after this terrible year are the same people that cry, but Juan, we need to create some continuity. Juan, we need some consistency. Juan, I'm so tired of change year in and year out. But you're ready to jump at firing everybody after the first sight of trouble. How do you want? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to pick one. Juan, Rams OC, Mike LaFleur, his offensive scheme is perfect for Jane Daniels. Okay? So, mind you, they're not firing Dan Quinn, by the way. But Mike LaFleur doesn't get a head coaching job this year, and then next year Dan Quinn does the same thing, which I highly doubt. Highly doubt. But let's just say hypothetically for this exercise, he has another down year like this. And then we're all finally ready to move on from Dan Quinn. Okay, then you can flip with the idea of getting a Mike LaFleur. His offensive scheme, offensive coordinator from LA, who is under the Sean McVay tree, who we know that offense is damn good year in and year out. Okay. Dotson. So these are all the people that that Adam Peters, Dotson, he let him go. Cam Curl, no. Sweat, Zacchaeus, Forbes, Chin, Fowler, etc. So let me back it up right quick. Jahan Dotson got traded. What has Jahan Dotson done for Philly? I'll wait. What has he done for Philly to make you be like, damn, we should have kept him? Besides, when Philly plays the Washington Commanders, you don't hear Jahan Dawson's name consistently. One, because I doubt that you're watching Philly's games, all 17 of them, for all 4 quarters, not missing a play. That's for one. And for two, he hasn't done much. So we won that trade. We got a pick by a third round, I think, for him. The Cam Curl one, I'm with you. Should have kept Cam Curl. I don't know why we let go of Cam Curl. Cam Curl's my dog. He's hooping in LA. He forced a fumble on Thursday night. I'm right there with you. I don't know what the disconnect with Adam Peters and Cam Curl was. Right? But again, they decided to go elsewhere with their decision. Okay. Montez Sweat wasn't here when Adam Peters was here. Adam Peters was not here in Washington when Chase Young and Montez Sweat got dealt. That was Ron Rivera that made that decision. Olamide Zacchaeus. Okay. Hey, you got me. I would have loved for Olamide Zacchaeus to be back. I mean, he would be a godsend for this team right now, if we're being completely honest. But at the same time, are we going to sit up here and act like you lose sleep over losing Olamide Zacchaeus? No. So they didn't bring back Olamide. They went out and they got Jalen Lane. They went out and they signed Deebo Samuel, who ultimately can play the Olamide Zacchaeus role. He was nothing but a screen gadget guy for us. That's what Deebo Samuel was supposed to be. And to an extent, he was. So you don't lose sleep over Olamide Zacchaeus. Emmanuel Forbes, everyone saw that his confidence was shot here in Washington. They couldn't do nothing with him. The best thing that they could do was let him go. They didn't want no parts of him. And he's in LA, and he's still showing the same Emmanuel Forbes at times. Yeah, of course, he's going to have flashes here and there because he's in an overall better situation and a better scheme and a better defense overall. But at the same time, there's still games and there's still times, i.e. that Panthers game we watched recently, where he's getting baked multiple times, giving up multiple touchdowns. So we're not going to sit up here and act like we're losing sleep over Emmanuel Forbes. Jeremy Chin is in Las Vegas. You losing sleep over Jeremy Chin? He was cool, but he's not somebody that you lose sleep over. Will Harris was solid in the games that he played. Yes, he got banged up. Okay, you're going to hold that against him. He's on a 2-year deal. You see what he does next year. Dante Fowler, okay, in the moment, I was right there with you. He had double-digit sacks. You should bring him back. I thought he would be back. So out of, dare I say, 2 names, out of all the names you have named, it's not anybody you really lose sleep over. Dude, if the wide receiver room has the same personnel, we will have the same results. You are blinded by Mikey Sand-Rastil. If that wide receiver room had the same personnel, we will have the same. What? If that wide receiver room had the same personnel, we will have the same results. You are blinded by Mikey Sand-Rastil. Mikey Sand-Rastil is a good outside corner. What are you talking about? Why does the QB have so damn much time running room? They need to have somebody spine the QB. That's just on the defensive staff. It's on the defensive staff. So this season is making us delusional. The fights made no sense. Mikey and Quan and Javon some YNs. Hey, you know, anytime Philly and Washington bump, man, they gonna always brawl, bro. But it is what it is. Washington loses yet again. Falls to 4-11. Philly clinches the NFC East. 2 more games of this, y'all, and we'll officially be in the off season, and we'll be able to put this season behind us. But that being said, I love each and one of y'all. We'll go ahead and watch some good Bears and Packers. And yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Love y'all. Be easy. Peace.